me. No, you can't bamboozle me. Tell your lies in disguise, but you can't bamboozle me. You can't bamboozle me. No, you can't bamboozle me. Theorize, you can weaselize, but you can't bamboozle me. Everybody, you can't bamboozle me. No, you can't bamboozle me. You can tell your lies in disguise, but you can't bamboozle me. You can't bamboozle me. No, you can't bamboozle me. You can theorize, you can weaselize, but you can't bamboozle me. Yeah, you can't bamboozle me. No, you can't bamboozle me. You can tell your lies in disguise, but you can't bamboozle me. You can't bamboozle me. No, you can't bamboozle me. You theorize and weaselize, but you can't bamboozle me. You can't bamboozle me. No, you can't bamboozle me. You can tell your lies in disguise, but you can't bamboozle me. You can't bamboozle me. No, you can't bamboozle me. You can theorize, you can weaselize, but you can't bamboozle me.
Insurrection, obstruction, indictments, civilly liable for sexual abuse. The one man responsible for all of that could be sitting in a prison cell on election day and still be elected commander-in-chief for these United States. That man is beholden to Putin, weakened NATO the last time around, and is currently tying himself to wealthy Saudi oil money. He enriched himself when government stayed his properties. He campaigned on wanting to use government to go after his political rivals and wants to expand executive power. If Donald Trump is reelected, our nation is lost. So let's roll up our sleeves, get to work, and tell the MAGA folks no more before it's too late. Join us in the chat rooms on liberaldanradio.com and twitch.tv/liberaldanradio because Blog Talk Radio has crapped the bed yet again. So apparently we're not having any phone calls today, so we'll have to participate in the chat version. So there you go. Welcome into the channels. There's Jolie, CR, Jeff, Steve. How is everyone doing? Aaron over on Twitch. How's it going, Aaron? Hope everything went well today. What else? What else we got going on? We got volume is low again, eh? All right, well, let's see if we can fix that, because, you know, my audio is stupid as well, apparently. Apparently this is going to be this has been a day of technical difficulties between work and, oh, geez, that's wow, all the way down to 59. There you go. That should be better. Wow, we were at 59. That's terrible. Anyway, so between work difficulties and other difficulties throughout the day, this has been a difficult week. Monday afternoon, there was a weird noise coming from my AC unit, and, well, guess what? The AC went out, so I had no air conditioning on Tuesday, and so we had that fixed. That was another $550 expense that I was not anticipating on having, which sucks, but, you know, it is what it is. It is what it is. Sorry, no Donald this time. I was having issues with the software at work, where I had, for some reason, my password got locked out, and then for some reason, when I updated my SQL Server Management Studio, that lost all my connections. So I had to reset up all my connections as we go. And then today, my oldest got a tip card, which is basically the precursor to a learner's permit here in Louisiana, and temporary extraction permit is what it stands for. And the traffic in New Orleans is terrible because they're working on putting new lights on the bridge over the Mississippi River for when we have the Super Bowl next year. And so they're trying to make everything look pretty, and that has made the commutes terrible. I set up this appointment at 3:40 in the afternoon because I wanted to make sure that I would have enough time today because my oldest son's school has usually early dismissal on Wednesdays, which is convenient if you want to like have them do like doctor's appointments and stuff, but not have them miss any education. Except that doesn't start till September. I didn't realize that. So we got to the place at like 3:55, and it was basically me begging them to take me in because the last time I tried to go there and get it done before school started, I followed all the directions that they gave me online, except online they didn't tell me one particular thing, that if your kid's under 17, you have to have the birth certificate with you. The online instruction says you can either have your birth certificate or passport. So I wasted my one afternoon that day doing that, and then I had almost wasted today doing that as well. So I've been banging my head up against the wall all day long. It's been a crazy couple days. But fortunately, the 550 is cheaper than I thought it might be. So I'm dreading the day where it comes out and it's like, your air conditioner is broken and you need a new air conditioner. That's the day that I'm dreading. So I'm not looking forward to that day. I'm sure it's going to happen at some point soon. I'm sure it's going to happen in the dead of summer because AC doesn't go out in winter, even though the air conditioning, you can use air conditioning most of the year in Louisiana because, it's hot all year long. So there's that. So at least we have a cool house now. And I still have a bunch of work to catch up on, but still wanted to make sure to do the podcast, have y'all try and educate and inform and entertain as I try to do sometimes. Whether or not I'm successful, that's up for y'all to decide, but I can at least try to do all three. Hey, Ojeda Live Raid, awesome. Thank you, Gen X George, and thank you everyone else for stopping in from there as well. I'm gonna be talking about liberal podcasts in a little bit. Have the rants begin. I don't know how ranty I'm going to be today. And my son, dad onto the week, my son is not going to school tomorrow in person. He has to do distance learning because the AC at the school is not working properly. So that's always fun. So, anyway, to support the show, if you haven't subscribed yet, make sure to subscribe to the channel, like the video, smash that like button, comment on other videos, interact, share them if you think that they're good. Share them with your friends. Say, hey, this guy's making an awesome point. You should go check him out. Help the algorithms because Al Gore needs more rhythm. And so, what else? You can follow me over on Twitch as well. Twitch.tv/LiberalDanRadio. There's currently a promotion going on Twitch where if you subscribe to the Twitch channel as a new subscription, or if you gift somebody a subscription as well, you get 3 months of Apple TV Plus. So like Apple TV Plus is what, like $10 a month? You have to be a new or returning subscriber to Apple TV in order to qualify, apparently. But the thing is that, for $5.99 plus I guess tax or whatever, you can support the show, and all the while you can also get a cheap deal on Apple TV Plus, which is pretty awesome. I also have nerdydan.com, both here on YouTube and on Twitch, and Tuesdays are my days for streaming nerdydan.com, and I got another sponsorship going on. So let's see. Let's copy him. I'm putting the link in the chat, and I'll pin that in a second. If you haven't played Monopoly Go yet, and you want to download it as a new thing, it's a fun game. It's a fun game to play, and you can just sit around and play it, and as you progress through the different boards that they have, you get the highest one I think I need to get, or the highest one that pays out is the 41st board. In the past day, I think I've made it to like 5 or 6 or something. So it's doable, but this goes, I think, through next Wednesday, so I have a week to do it. But if you haven't played yet, it's free to play. There are some options to pay money as well. If you do that, if you do decide to spend $20 in game, I get $25 in return. So if you ever thought of doing like a bunch of super chats or super stickers or Venmo, or not even Venmo's probably not even Venmo is good, because Venmo, if you do friends and family, it's 100%. If you spend $20 in game, I get $25. So it's more than 100% of the money that you're giving me, that you're giving the game, comes back to me. So it's just, but you don't have to spend any money to play the game if you don't want to. However, the first 20 people that do that help me get the money, help me get paid a little extra, helps fund the bills. Maybe if I max out this sponsorship, I might be able to actually afford a new laptop, which would be awesome. We'll see. So again, there's also Buy Me a Cider. Go to liberaldan.com, click the Buy Me a Cider button, or go to buymeacoffee.com/liberaldanradio. Either way gets you there. You can get a one-time contribution. You can also do Venmo as well, or become a patron, patreon.com/liberaldan. Nick Rich, I'm too stoned to respond to all the hellos, so here's one, everyone. Hello, friends. Hello, Nick. Puff, puff, pass, please. I definitely could use it. Another thing I kind of realized, I think Dawn said hello. Hey, Dawn. What's going on? Tim, I recommend wearing a helmet. Always a good idea. And what else? One thing I had a friend of mine. This is an interesting friend. She went to my high school. And then we're friends with a bunch of the people that I went to high school with. We never really talked that much. I think we've talked more as adults than we ever did in high school. Which is fine. I mean, I got along with everybody in high school pretty much. No biggie. But she was actually on an episode, I think the one where the Bachelor, when they had the Bachelor in, I think, Italy or something. And so they brought all of the bachelorettes over to Italy, and so she participated in that or whatever, and she was on the show. So and then there was some, it's hard to find, I think, because I think there were some issues with that season. But she was on. Anyway, she made a comment. I guess she had a positive, either she or somebody she knows had a positive test for COVID. And she posed the question, have anybody else had problems with their joints, not like the Nick Rich joints, but like with their knees or whatever, after getting COVID? And I'm sitting there like, well, I got COVID on the cruise, and all of a sudden, coming off the cruise, my knees have been hurting me much more than recently. Like, I've been hobbling around. And I thought it was just the added weight or whatever, or just my weight getting to me. But then I went and looked it up. Apparently, COVID can inflame arthritis. It can do all sorts of, have all sorts of negative effects on your joints. So apparently that might very well be what's going on with me too, with my issues with my knees recently, is just simply that COVID got me there too. So fun. Gen X George, I have arthritis, so it's getting hard to roll the joints. Well, one of the dispensaries locally, I think they can still sell pre-rolls, but then you could also have edibles and vapes or whatever as well. There's always that. Anywho, let's see. What else did I miss anything in the chat? No, I guess as if you're just getting in here and you're looking for the phone number, I don't have the Google Voice set up yet to be able to have that as a standby for when Blog Talk Radio craps the bed. But Blog Talk Radio has crapped the bed, and unfortunately we can't take calls today, so we'll just have to communicate via the chat room. So Gen X, no, y'all know I'm a gummy man. Yeah, just don't get white out like I did that one time. Ooh, that was a little scary, a little interesting. Unfortunately, nothing bad happened overall. But anyway, one of the things I wanted to talk about today, before we get to kind of the main point of the show, is a few weeks back, or maybe even whenever they initially were trying to launch the Boeing Starliner to go into space, and They were going to do it, and then they scrapped the launch. Then they're going to do it. I guess they scrapped the launch maybe again. And I was like, look, there's no way, with all the problems that Boeing has been having with their aircraft and like doors flying off and other things happening with their aircraft, there was no way I would take a Boeing craft into space, right? I mean, they would have to do a lot more improvement on what's going on with their aircraft to get me into space. Well, apparently, they did manage to get into space, and it was only supposed to be, the astronauts were only supposed to be there for a little bit, and now they can't leave because there's a problem with the Boeing craft yet again. Like, dumbasses. And so now they're trying to scramble and figure out how they're going to get these people back to Earth. And one of the things that I heard today was like, I guess this, around the station, and there's only one docking point. So, like, I'm sitting there, Boeing is probably sitting there like, if we want to get another ship, like a SpaceX ship, to come up there and rescue those people, then the only way to do that with a broken Boeing ship that you can't fix is to release the ship from the docking clamp and just let it float away into space, or let it burn up in the atmosphere, or what have you. And I'm like, I'm really wondering right now if Boeing, if part of the decision making on the part of Boeing is, let's try and figure out how to salvage our own ship because we don't want to lose the money that this ship costs to save our people if at all possible. And that, my friends, is one of the problems with capitalism, is that you're always going to be putting the money ahead of the lives of people. That's why we had the Macondo Deep Horizon oil spill, well explosion or whatever in the Gulf of Mexico, because they could have put in they could have spent some money paying for a part that would have either prevented or warned of the potential of the explosion. And as such, they would be able to prevent, the loss of lives, the loss of incomes, of livelihoods of people who work in the Gulf and couldn't, work as fishermen or catching seafood simply because they didn't want to spend a little bit of money at the head of the time beforehand, preventative measures to make sure that you can't get to make sure that you can't get an explosion. But so they didn't spend that money, and they also, all of the oil companies in the Gulf used the same disaster response plan, including naming the same individual who would be the one to contact in the case of a disaster. But unfortunately, the only way you could get into contact with the person was a Ouija board, because he was dead at the time. So all of the oil companies used the same dead guy as an emergency contact. And you wonder why people were like, people fight big oil, and people have a problem with big oil. It's because they do BS like this. Well, I guess big aircraft as well is also having problems, because I don't know what corners were cut that would cause a door to fly off in mid-flight. I don't know what corners were cut to cause all the other issues but their Boeing aircraft were having. I don't know what corners were cut that made it so that this spacecraft is now not functional enough to bring the astronauts back home. And now there's questions as to whether or not they want to have the SpaceX people come up and rescue them. But if they do, again, what does that mean? That means that they'll likely have to lose their own ship, which means they're losing money, and they're putting the lives of people over money. And there you go. Nick Rich, I'd be happy to spend as much time as possible in orbit. Well, I mean, I would love to go into outer space myself. I just wouldn't want to do it on a Boeing aircraft or a Boeing spacecraft, because they're not trustworthy at this point, in my opinion, at least. And I'd want to make sure that I have enough consumables to be able to survive, because they're talking about it. They could be up there for months, but they don't have months worth of supplies to be able to handle that. So they're gonna have to find a way to at least get supplies up to them. But if they're getting supplies up to them, then they would have to get then they would simply have a way to bring people down as well. But then if there's only one docking place, only one place to dock, well, what's up, Doc? Aaron West, hey, 21st Century Suffrage. Hey, what's going on? Hey, Diane. That's a nice name. That's a good name, 21st Century Suffragettes. Well, I mean, considering the fact that you have the people who are out there who are trying to, take away the rights of other people to vote. I mean, women are going to be next. You have conservatives now who believe that women shouldn't be able to vote. So, unfortunately, how do they supply the oxygen? They probably have some form of recyclers, perhaps, but also, again, that's probably another thing, is that one of the consumables is probably oxygen. Probably need to send more oxygen up to the ship, because I don't think you can just, I don't think they have, let's see, let's just do that. How does the International Space, how is this possible? Like, I'm typing, how does the International Space, and Google Complete, the first suggestion is station get oxygen. Electrolysis process uses electricity to split water molecules into hydrogen and oxygen. The oxygen is then vented into the cabin and the hydrogen is released into space. Of course, this uses water. Water recycling. The ISS has a system that turns wastewater, sweat, and urine into pure drinking water. So, but still, it's still using the drinking water to breathe. Carbon dioxide recovery. The spacecraft oxygen recovery system recovers about half of the oxygen from the carbon dioxide that astronauts exhale. Pressurized oxygen tanks. Oxygen is delivered to the ISS from Earth in pressurized tanks. So there you go. That's the many different ways that the people in the space station get their oxygen. Lots of which are based on consumables, of which they're running out. So I'm on oxygen. I recharge my tanks. Let's see. According to Time, how they are camping on space. Last time I talked to Bush, two astronauts stranded aboard the ISS, was May 1st, 2024. At the time, they were in pre-flight medical quarantine at Kennedy Space Center, preparing for a May 6th takeoff. The plan was for a brisk, breezy mission, test flying Boeing's brand new Starliner aircraft to the ISS for a short 8-day cruise. Both astronauts had been aboard the station before. Both enjoyed the months they spent there. We want to go back as quickly as possible. Next Starliner and any other reflight to the current Starliner is now very much open to question. May 6th launch was scrubbed because of a leaky valve in the upper stage of the crew's Atlas V rocket. When they got off the ground on June 5th, they did not even make it to the station before they started experiencing other problems: failure in their thrusters, leaks in the gaseous helium that keeps the thrusters pressurized. Their 8-day stay, which was supposed to end June 13th, has now stretched for more than 2 months as Boeing and NASA troubleshoot the thruster problems, trying to determine if Starliner is safe enough shipped for the astronauts to fly home. On August 7th, NASA revealed the answer may be now Williams and Wilmore's short stay may now be over, not be over till February, stretching the 8-day mission to an 8-month one. Rather than allow Starliner to carry the astronauts back to Earth, the space agency is considering flying the spacecraft back empty. A SpaceX crewed Dragon spacecraft intended to carry 4 people for a 5-month station stay would instead be launched with just a crew of 2, leaving the other 2 seats empty to bring Williams and Wilmore home next year. How are the astronauts doing on a crowded space station that's typically home to just 6 or 7 people? That's now accommodating 9. Last month, after 35 days in space, Wilmore, they were sanguine. We're having a great time. Butch and I have been up here before. It feels like coming home. We haven't heard any more dispatches from the astronauts, blah, blah, blah. The space station only has 6 sleep chambers, phone booth-sized privacy pods, but the half-dozen enclosures mean 3 astronauts are left hanging. 1 astronaut who was already aboard, along with Williams, bunked down in more Spartan sleep changer called the Crew Alternative Sleep Accommodation in the space station's Columbus module, the laboratory built by the European Space Agency. Butch is having to rough go of it a bit. The work schedule the 2 astronauts are following has changed dramatically. Initially, they were to spend most of the 8 days aloft working in the Starliner, checking its communications, life support, power, blah, 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 but they've long since finished up the checklist and have been assisting the crew with science experiments and maintenance chores, such as the unglamorous work as repairing a urine processing pump. But of course, you have people up there, with I guess 7 other people up there, and you have 2 people up there for longer than you thought, which would tend to lead to supply issues, right? See, I'm not messing with Dan. It's okay. I've been on it for 15 years. Median life low 2.5 years because most don't quit cigarettes. I did. I have to breathe through my urine sometimes. Interesting. I didn't give that link here on the Monopoly link or whatever. We're just gonna pin that. Well, anyway. So, yeah, there's plenty of issues going up there, and I have to question, you know, why there's even a hesitation. They want to figure out how to fly the thing home. I guess if they can remotely fly it home, cool, but, and I guess it's probably better to fly it remotely home and not risk the lives of the 2 astronauts. But if the decision had to be made of, do we scrap this ship to replace it with the SpaceX ship to get these people home, do we do that and not worry about the ship, or are we going to try as best we can, you know, perhaps even putting people's lives at risk when it comes to supply issues by just, you know, making sure that we can save every dollar possible? Because, again, according to these people who run these large corporations, dollars are more important than lives. As simple as that. A supply ship to the ISS is a regular thing. They can get supplies. Sure, but, again, they have supplies for a certain amount of people for a certain amount, because it costs money, again, to lift off every pound worth of material, and so the poundage of material was sent up to the space station to be able to handle X amount of people for X amount of time. And now you've changed the amount of people, which changes the formula as to what's available. So now you have to edit your schedules. And, well, you know, I have no faith in Boeing to be able to get it right. Maybe I have a little more faith in NASA, but I have no faith in Boeing to get it right with all of the issues that Boeing has had. So, Jeff Curry, so they could start calling it Gilligan Space Station. I was trying to think of a way to make it, you know, an 8-day tour, instead of, you know, 3-hour tour. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. We'll, of course, keep everybody updated. We'll follow that story. I'm sure that it'll be all over the news when they actually find a solution. But it just goes to show you that, you know, you have this gigantic company, Boeing, that's supposed to have full of aeronautical engineers. They can't quite figure out how to make a safe, you know, craft. How many times does Boeing have to cut corners before people are like, nope, we're done with Boeing. Let's find new replacements for at least the head of people running Boeing to make sure that the corporate culture is one of person safety over cutting corners. Because, again, maybe they didn't cut corners. I don't know. Maybe it's just human error. Maybe they have other employees who work on them that they need to have a better hiring process. I don't know. But I just wouldn't be surprised if this is all because of major corner cutting. Yeah, there is a lot of junk floating around in space jail as well. That happens. So, you know, I'm going to take this away for the part because the advertisement doesn't need to be up, because I think the deadline for the Apple TV Plus thing, and if you're late to the show, again, one of the ways to support the show, if you go over to Twitch, twitch.tv/LiberalDaneRadio, and if you subscribe, I think you have to do it while I'm live. If you subscribe to either subscribe with a new subscription for yourself, or it just has to be a month, or if you gift a subscription to somebody else, either way, you get 3 free months of Apple TV. And I think that ends the 16th, but I'm probably not going to be live on the Liberal Dan channel on Twitch before the thing runs out. So if you want 3 months of Apple TV Plus for only $5.99 plus whatever tax you might have to pay, now's the time to do it. Support the show. Trucker John's in the chat room. Hey, Trucker John, good to see you. Boeing just got a CEO. Well, we'll see if we need a new one, I suppose. Because if they're questioning whether or not they need to make a tough decision about their pricey little aircraft over whether or not they bring somebody home, maybe it's time for a new CEO already. I don't know. I don't know what's in the head of the current CEO of Boeing, but it just seems to me that if there issues there. Thank you for gifting the membership, Nick Rich. Of course, the if you're trying to get the Apple TV Plus membership, you have to gift Twitch memberships, but I appreciate you nonetheless. So I don't trust people without junk drawers. Never met one though. I think we have at least one junk drawer, let alone more. Lives in space are expendable. Hasn't anyone ever seen sci-fi ever? Oh, I'm a big sci-fi nerd. But they don't want to. Some of the episodes of sci-fi show that the people that cut the corners and the people that try and do unnecessary risks with the individuals in space are the ones who are deemed the villains of the show. And or there's also the fact that the ones that are really expendable are the ones with the red shirts. So anyway, the main thing I wanted to talk about today, again, I have some work that I have to do this evening probably, so this might not be a 3-hour show today, especially because the Blog Talk Radio things have been crapping out as well, which sucks, but I like having my phone lines. Unfortunately, those phone lines are not accessible at this point. Anybody watch Severance? Speaking of Apple, yes, I watched the first season. It was really good. I can't wait for season 2 to come out. Really good show. Really good plot twist there. Assuming I'm remembering, there was two shows that I kept confusing, but yes, Severance is the one that I was talking about. The plot twist there at the end, towards the end of the first season was amazing, and I should be coming out with that episode too. So. But yeah, it's a great show. I really enjoyed it. I also like watching For All Mankind, which is a show about an alternate universe with the American and Russian space race, but Russians got there first because of some issues, and then so they decided to start pushing women into space earlier, and then you end up having this different space race, which causes a much vastly different, methods of how we get it, where we've been in the current timeline versus where we are in that timeline. I really like For All Mankind. It's really good. See, Nick Rich, I can hang out till about 10:30 my time, another hour or so. Time to spin one up. Nice. January 17th it starts. Well, I guess I'll have to re-up my Apple Plus because the 3-month won't last that long, because I did get my own 3-month because I did gift under nerdydan.com. Me as Liberal Dan Radio, my Liberal Dan Radio account gifted a membership to it ended up being Nerd Misha on the nerdydan.com account, and there you go. So let's see. So anyway, let's start. We're going to start recording this one so I can upload it quickly after the show. Conservative media is very dangerous, and it's very dangerous beyond, I think, what a lot of people tend to just look at it from a 30,000 foot view. Like, you say, obviously they push things that are irresponsible. Conservative media pushes, conspiracy theories. They push the lie that the election was stolen. They push lies about Donald Trump that paint him in a better light. They push lies about Kamala Harris and Tim Walz and other folks, to paint them in a negative light. And that in and of itself is dangerous. They're actively fighting against allowing people to vote, They support these voter suppression type laws that are so-called voter ID laws. And to any conservative watching at this point, either now or later, I call them so-called voter ID laws because they contain other provisions that have nothing to do with the requirement to show a voter ID. And those other provisions, like the ones in the North Carolina law that the judge basically said they targeted black voters with surgical precision. That's why that law was overturned. Those other issues are the ones that I typically complain about. And of course, I'll say this, and of course there'll be some conservative who responds to this video that will say, what's wrong with showing a voter ID? And I'm calling the shot now because it's going to happen. Because it always happens. And then I have to explain again that it's not the voter ID issue that I take issue with. It's the fact that these laws contain other things. Like, you can't deliver water to somebody in line who's thirsty in Georgia. And then they'll be like, no, it doesn't say that, but it clearly does say that. But that's the other, and that gets to some of the problem and why conservative media is even more dangerous than what we give it credit for. And it's all about the bottom line. Again, it's about money, as we were talking about the other issue earlier. It's about money over doing the right thing. How many times have you seen a conservative like channel like Fox News, like any of the other even more far to the right news channels, any of the far right people who tweet or create content on YouTube, TikTok, whatever, somebody writes a tweet who's a conservative, how many times do you see those organizations come back after them saying something that's demonstrably false and it's proven to be false? How many times do they come back and say, you know what, this was a mistake, we reported this, it's not correct, here's why it's not correct, we apologize, there you go. It never happens. Or if it does happen, those people are quickly shunned. And that's why it doesn't happen. Because we have a situation where all of these conservative media outlets, all of these people who make videos, make content, write articles, make tweets, they'll put something out there, it'll be wrong, and then they'll never take it back. They'll never do a mea culpa, they'll never do a retraction. At best, I've seen, like, there's the guy I talk about sometimes who's on TikTok, has like 1 million followers, called the older millennial. I call him the often wrong millennial. When he's shown to be false in his videos, he just deletes it. He won't do you know what, I said this and I was wrong. I said this and I was wrong. I get a video out there, and I haven't seen any of his new videos, so if he proves me wrong, the exception will prove the rule. If he actually doesn't, he was pushing the lie about the Harris Waltz aircraft hangar rally or whatever, that was somehow AI generated, because Trump said it was AI generated, so everybody jumped up on it. It's like, oh, Herr Trump says that it's AI generated, so we have to run with it. And then it was shown by several content creators, like Harry, like Dude, like all the other people that are both on, here, Twitter, TikTok, whatever. They've showed the evidence that proves that it wasn't fake, it wasn't AI, and he still doubled down on it. He's like, well, why is this then? Why is this? No, it's not AI, you dummy. But they'll never admit that they're wrong. They'll never say, you know what, I'm sorry, I was wrong, I shared false information with you. Because to do that, to them, is a sign of weakness. And that's what I used to say, at least, that they'll never do it because it's a sign of weakness. But in reality, now they'll never do it because they're afraid that they're going to lose followers. They're afraid that they're going to, sit here and they're going to, lose their money because the people who follow them are not going to appreciate them coming back and saying, oh, what I said the other day was wrong. Because then those people who have listened to these content creators, who have listened to these other conservative media types, will then have to say, oh, I was wrong too. And then they're not going to want to do that as well. So they're just going to just yeet them. They'll cancel their own if they end up, doing the right thing by correcting a falsehood that they state. But conservative media is huge. It's much bigger than, especially with the smaller creators and the mid-sized creators or whatever. You have all these people creating content on the right who are spreading these lies, spreading these falsehoods. And people try to challenge them, but as they say, a lie, the truth wakes up. By the time truth wakes up and gets out of bed, the lie has traveled halfway around the earth. So in order to correct these people, we need to go all in, to use poker parlance. We need to fight them in every step of the way, which means we need our own people making content to counter their content, to show why they're wrong, and to just overwhelm. Not because I think we're gonna turn any of the people who are just so blinded by the MAGA BS that they're just irredeemable at this point, but because we want to make sure that nobody else gets hoodwinked by their BS. We want to make sure that everybody who sees this stuff can have a quick reaction. Oh, this is what you're seeing. This is why it's wrong. This is why it's false. And the only way we do that is by everybody pushing, everybody going all in, everybody helping the algorithms for not just me. I mean, might be a little bit self-serving because I'd love for myself to be more popular, to have more followers, subscribers, whatever. But it's not just about me. Hal should be at millions at this point. We need to, Hal is that good? He should be at millions, not trying to get to 100,000. But the reason that older millennials at like 1 million over on TikTok, and Hal's only just is under 100,000 here, is because we're not doing a good enough job pushing the messages of the other content creators out there. People like Dude, people like Ojeda, people like Texas Paul, Boston Brian, Benny and Diane, all the people out there that are out there trying to, Trucker John, all the people that are out there trying to fight back against the cancer that is conservative media. They all need your help. We all need your help. We all need everybody out there just mass sharing, mass liking, mass commenting. And sometimes that means you have to deal with the brainwashed, brain dead MAGA types that are out there. Sometimes that means that you might have to interact with them, tell them that they're wrong, explain to them why that they're wrong, etc. But in doing that, you're going to get the algorithms going. You're going to get more people are going to be seeing Hal. More people will be seeing Dude. More people will be seeing Boston Brian, Trucker John, Texas Paul, Ojeda, all the other stuff. Everybody will see this. And I know somebody mentioned something about Project 2025 in the chat. I didn't see the whole message, but I did see 2025 come through. It's another thing. If you look at polling data that's now coming out, the more people know about Project 2025, and specifically the more people who both know it and know that Trump's Agenda 47 is basically a just rebranded version of Project 2025, the more people know about that or informed about that thing, about that horrible plan, the more likely they are to support Vice President Harris in the upcoming election. Educating people about Project 2025 is getting people activated, getting people motivated. It's getting people, interested in this election, wanting to get out and wanting to stop it. So the more we can do to advance all these negative things, advance all these videos discussing these negative things and informing the people before they get hoodwinked by the extremist conservative MAGA media types, the better we will have as a chance of winning the upcoming election. And not just winning the presidential election, winning back the House, solidifying the Senate, winning states, winning state governorships, making sure, like, Mark Robinson or whatever doesn't win in North Carolina, or they apparently have somebody else running in North Carolina as well, who's running a statewide seat to be the superintendent of education for the state of North Carolina. This person doesn't even have kids in the school, not educated about schooling. This person is a homeschooler. This person homeschools their kids and wants to run this multi-million-dollar agency in charge of educating children. We joke about J.D. Vance and the couch, but in reality, we need to talk about J.D. Vance and him wanting to keep people in marriages that are abusive. He says that if you're in a marriage and it's an abusive marriage and you split up, it harms the kids. What? Leaving a marriage together with an abusive parent is what would harm the kids, because it's going to, seeing that is a bad thing for the kids to see, and B, it's going to teach the kids that, this is either something that I have to tolerate if I'm the abused, or something that's okay to do if you're the abuser. And of course, conservatives will fight back. He never specifically, no, but he implied it. The words that he said implied that these people need to say, and because he's bringing it up in a political context, why would I not believe that this individual would not implement that if given the opportunity to, because he would be one heartbeat away from the presidency if he gets elected. So we need to, not just us listening here, but we need to get everybody activated. Get people, again, sharing content, interacting with liking content, liking videos, commenting on videos, sharing them, making sure that more people get eyes on all of the videos that are out there from the left, except for maybe the Young Turks, because they're terrible. We again, I've said before on the show, we need new progressive media, because the Young Turks have jumped the shark. But everyone else needs to have their content pushed to the extreme. Get Hal to 1 million. Get me to 10,000. Get Texas Paul, dude, everyone else to 50,000, whatever. Get everybody up. Rise the ocean level of liberal, left-leaning, progressive, leftist media types, and make sure that we can fight the conservatives everywhere that they are. So, anyway, that's my video on this, and why conservatives need to be fought at every turn, because we can't let conservatives gain an inch more of power. If you agree, like the video, share it with your friends, comment below, help the Al Gore rhythms. Al Gore needs more rhythm, and have a good day. Anyway, I'm not stopping the show at this point, again, obviously, but that's what I do when I'm, recording something live that I'm going to upload in a little bit after the show ends, is I like to add the ending there to make it seem more natural. Yes, see, our TOAT has gone whack. There was one thing that they were talking about. I was going to bring it up this show, and then I completely forgot it. I reposted it or whatever on one of the other channels. I think it was on TikTok, whatever. And they were talking about one particular topic. Let me see if I can find it real quick, because I felt it was somebody else who was sharing their video. I felt bad reposting it simply because of the fact that felt bad reposting it because I feel dirty reposting something that the Young Turks were also sharing. Oh, that's right. The Young Turks were talking about the fact that you now have individuals who are January 6th folks, insurrectionists, who are now coming forward and saying that not only were their Republican accomplices in Congress, like Bobo the Clown, Pizza Gates, MTG, 6B, Marjorie Taylor Greene, Gomert, all these people that were, we thought were involved on a bigger level than what was initially reported. They're now coming forward and saying, Meadows was involved. They were meeting with congressmen or their congresspeople or their representatives, like back to back to back. They were being told that if they were found guilty of any crimes, that blanket pardons were coming to protect them. So there's much more tightly coupled coordination between active members of Congress, except for maybe Madison Cawthorn, who lost, but people who were active in Congress at the time, and the Trump administration, and these insurrectionists, than anybody was led to believe at this point. Because now I think the people who are coming forward with this are seeing the writing on the wall, especially now that Vice President Harris has showed that she is gaining. She pulled even, I think, in North Carolina. She's gaining in all of the swing states. Florida, not maybe in play because of the abortion, law that's coming up for a vote. The only Ohio is potentially in play because people are not happy with Vance. The only place that Trump lost that he's up currently, I think, is Nevada. And a lot of the polling data is made to look much more close than it really is, because a lot of the polling data is they'll show the polling data between Democrats and Republicans, and they ignore independents in some of these polls. But when these polls include the independent voters, Harris jumps up. Harris has a 6-point lead in Pennsylvania in one of these polls. 5-point lead, I think, in either Michigan or Wisconsin, somewhat similar in the other of the states, and other states where Trump was mildly leading. The independents who perhaps were jumping on board with some of the other wackadoodles out there are realizing, because maybe they didn't like the voting between two 80-year-old dudes, or one 80-year-old and one soon-to-be 80-year-old dude. Now they're like, oh, well, that's off the table now. Now I can be a little more enthusiastic about Vice President Harris and her campaign. So those people might be, and especially because RFK Jr. is just dumb as a box of rocks. So, see, Gen X George, 81 million didn't vote that were eligible last time, same as Biden's total. Number 1, number 2 reason for not voting, can't stand politics, too much of a hassle. See, I live in Georgia. I would like to see Florida viable. Florida not viable. Can we abort it? The couch potato is Sofa King weird? Yes, Sofa King. The Sofa King. Midas Touch is almost at 3 million subs, just YouTube, and that's good for the one. But I think Midas Touch is like, or Midas Touch is has multiple people in it, right? So, but yeah, I mean, you also have people like Stephanie Miller, other people who are part of the Sexy Liberal Tour, and those people are also very popular as well. But you can't just do it with one channel. That's my point. These people have diehard followers at all levels. And look, I appreciate y'all are great, and I love y'all, and y'all are an amazing group who come every week, and I'm just saying we need to get more of the people involved with more of the shows to push them all up. It's why I always try and make sure to mention the other people who are trying to do what I'm doing, because that's why Hal does it too. That's why Hal will mention me, or all the other people like Texas Paul, like Boston Brian, like the people who are trying to grow their brands, who are trying to, while growing their brands, trying to fight the fight and do the right thing. And the great thing about the people who listen to our type of media is the fact that y'all aren't going to abandon anybody if they come out and say, if I reported something 3 weeks ago and somebody says, well, Dan, you were wrong on that one. And I'll look at it and I'll be like, you know what? Yeah, I was wrong on that one. And then I'll say it. and then y'all will appreciate the fact that I was honest about it and honest about me being wrong. That's not what they have on the right. That's why the right's so dangerous. That's why the right is so. That's why the right needs to be fought. And I'm not saying the only way we fight it, but we have to also include as part of our strategy to push out many, many, many more videos, many more much more content. There needs to be content that's pushed out there and shared to everybody, to people who might not normally be political. You may know people yourselves, and this is kind of the point I'm making. You may know people yourselves who are like, oh, I'm not really into listening or watching these sort of things, and I'd rather do other things with my time, on the internet or working, whatever. Maybe I'd rather listen to music. Maybe I'd rather have other things going on. I'm not really into listening to political pontification from the left online. My point is that we need to get the numbers up. We need to convince those people to get out there and sharing content and doing things that they normally wouldn't do, because the stakes are so high at this point. The stakes are so very high in this upcoming election, where I'm not prone to hyperbole. I tend to not like to. It drives me crazy whenever people say this is the most important election of our lives, because to many of the people who will often run on that will be like, will say that, and then 2 years later they'll be like, this is the most important election, and it gets to almost a Boy Who Cried Wolf levels of non-believability. If every election is the most important election of your lives, then there's no election that's the most important election of our lives, because they're all the same. But in reality, this upcoming election, with dictator on day one, and I finally called into that Jeff Career show that I often will call in and argue with them, and they firmly believe that he was just joking. He wasn't serious about being a dictator on day one, because they'll never admit that again, that's why these shows are dangerous. He'll never admit that it was the wrong thing for him to say. But if Biden had said it, or if now Vice President Harris would to say that she wanted to be dictator on day one, I mean, she never would, because that's not how they roll. But if they ever said that, they'd pitch a fit. And if they said, they were just joking, they were like, no, we don't believe that they were joking. But for some reason, they believe Donald Trump is joking, even though I can point you to audio, I can point you to videos where Donald Trump said that he doesn't joke around, he doesn't kid. And he's not the type of person to joke around. He's not, one of the reasons that Tim Waltz was talking about Donald Trump and how weird he is the fact that you don't see him laughing. Like, he might maybe have a little smile and chuckle every once in a while, but you'll never see him just outwardly laughing, because he doesn't have any humor in him. He's not going to joke. He's not going. Now, he may say some ridiculous things that we would all hope that he's joking about, but he specifically told you, I don't joke, I don't kid. So when people tell you where they are, believe them. He says he doesn't joke. I'm going to say, well, he doesn't joke. He said he doesn't joke around. So why would I then believe that dictator on day one was a joke? Simple as that. Thank you, George. Wait, Nick Rich, time for a rant yet, Danimals? That wasn't a rant? I thought that 12-minute thing was kind of a rant. Fight conservative media. Get out there, share things, comment things, tell other people to share things, spread the word about all the goodness that comes with the progressive / left / liberal media that are out there that are trying to fight the MAGA idiots. Jeff Curry, my dad asks me all the time if I saw something on Facebook. I tell him never been on there. 10 minutes later, he asks me if I saw it on Facebook. Nick Rich, you're behind. Well, I'm a little behind because I kind of scrolled up and scrolled back down. So, boo. So Jeff Curry, Dawn sharing, is that just a Facebook thing? Sharing on every, even if you're not sharing, even if don't have any other social media. I mean, sharing it. You could share it on Twitter. You could share it on other things, whatever. You could even share it with an email if you wanted to. But I'm basically saying that, even if you don't have other social media that you're a member of, and you're only doing things on YouTube, just commenting on videos, liking videos, just doing that is enough to get the algorithms going. Just to make sure that other people are seeing, because the more people engage, that's why Hal doesn't have a problem with the trolls. Because Hal understands that when the trolls come in and they start doing their troll BS, that's going to generate algorithms, that's going to generate and hit the algorithms that cause more people to see these videos in their feeds. So thank you, Gen X George. I appreciate you. Look at them claiming how Harris rallies are AR big crowd, but won't believe you if you show them how small Trump's really good. Yeah, apparently Vance had like a very tiny, apparently the amount of people that went to the latest Vance rally could fit on an ottoman. Yeah, Hal can handle a troll like nobody else. I think he tends to ignore them most of the time. But he just appreciates the fact that they're helping the algorithms out. I engage with, if when I have the phone lines up and a conservative calls in, like, I'll engage to the point where some people get annoyed in the chat because I'm engaging for so long. But the reason I do it is because I give them just enough rope to hang themselves, and then we see the backtracking start sometimes. Like the time I had our friend from North Carolina who called in and he was talking about the politicization, words hard to say, of the Justice Department, and how it's terrible how we're using the Justice Department to go after political rivals, and I was like, oh really? Let's talk about that some. And then all of a sudden I'm like, about maybe 5 minutes in, I'm like, in 2016, did you ever go to a rally for Trump? Yeah. Went out those rallies. Did you ever scream lock her up? Yeah. And then he kind of realized that I kind of baited him into the corner, and then was like, haha, you're a hypocrite because you were calling for Donald Trump to politicize the Justice Department, whilst complaining falsely that this current Justice Department is politicized as well. So Jeff Corey, I used to like it when he had called on trolls on chat. I mean, I'll do it. It's just there becomes a certain point where we will mute and or ban people if they go too far, because even trolls, even I have my limits with trolls. Like when they start spouting anti-Semitism, yeah, F that. When they start shouting things that are anti-trans, F that. That's not how I roll. Nick Red Sugar John has some fun trolls. He responds with words that I appreciate. Sometimes I think I like to as well. We'll see. But, it is what it is. Anyway. Let's, because I do have stuff to do, have a little work to do tonight for my main job or whatever. But before we get to the show end, I just do want to give people a few more opportunities. If anything else, maybe you want to talk about in the chat, for a few more minutes. Just remember that if you do want the 3 months of Apple TV Plus for $5.99 plus whatever sales tax might be applied, while we're still live on Twitch, go to twitch.tv/LiberalDaneRadio, subscribe to the channel. And by doing so, within a few days, either subscribe to the channel with a new subscription or gift a subscription to somebody else. And if you do that, you'll get 3 months of Apple TV. So there's that. But also, again, all the different ways to support the show besides the commenting, sharing, liking videos. Play the game, the Monopoly Go game as well. That's if you enjoy fun little games on your phone, and if you haven't signed up for Monopoly Go yet. Basically, just as a recap of how that works, and because I haven't shared one of these games in like a month or so. So just to kind of recap how it works, each game that I have as a sponsorship, this has 6 days and 23 hours left. For each level, I get a particular amount of money. So if you reach board 2, which is not very hard to do at all, it's $2 per new user up to $40 max. So 20 people get to level 2, that's 40 total bucks. If you reach board 7, that's another $6. If you reach board 18, that's another $15. If you reach board 31, that's another $20. If you reach board 41, that's another $30. So if you reach level 41, you help me get 350, 65, 7. That's $73 that each person can help me get. And if you purchase a $20 pack, it gets me $25 per new user, up to $500 max. So if you wanted to spend $20 on a game and have that plus $5 additional go to me, directly to me, and supporting the show, getting more bang for your buck, you could download the game and buy the $20 pack as well, and that would help me get an additional 25. So 73 and 25, that's $98. So 20 people, if 20 people download and play the game and do everything, it's either 73 to $98 per person just by playing a game. That's one of the reasons why I talk about it here as well as on nerdydan.com, because there are folks here who definitely play the game, who have definitely played previous games before and have helped me hit certain thresholds. But this is a really easy game to play, and all 5 people who have installed the game so far, because I see how many installs there are, all 5 people who've installed the game have already hit the level 2, and they're probably close to getting 7 at this point. So Nick Rich, I only play one game on my cell phone, maybe use it once a week on the Subway, a free app. Again, this is a free app too. You can play for free. You don't have to spend any money if you don't want to. You can play for free, and if you get the level 41 by next Wednesday, that's $73 that you're helping the show get just for playing a game. So Tim Farrell, your main job, you work for us. I wish that I could do this full time. I wish I could come on 5 days a week, 5 to 6 days a week. I wish I could do, several multi hours a day, like an afternoon show, an evening show. I wish I could do this full time. I would love to be able to do that. But in order to be able to do that, I got to be much bigger. I have to be much bigger than what I am currently, unfortunately. The Monopoly game, I think, can only be played on the mobile. I think that's the only problem with that. CR, Trump versus Musk. Oh yeah, Trump versus Musk. Well, it wasn't really Trump versus Musk. It was Trump being interviewed by Musk. And I did share one short video or audio from that clip, from that interview, where Trump basically was like, he's not worried about climate change because if all it's going to do is going to cause more oceanfront property. Like, what he's worried about is nuclear warming or something. I don't even know whatever he meant by that. But that was one of my newer bits of the show called Just the Clip, where we just play the clip and that's it. And that's a great, if you go share the Just the Clips ones, I mean, that's a great, those are great little short videos to share. I don't know how much money they generate just from watching, but they're very short, very easy to send, and it's just a funny little play on words that I like to use to show when politicians say things that are so outrageous that it doesn't even need commentary. So, I can swipe my girlfriend's phone. There you go. Tim, you were big in Japan. I'm big everywhere. That's because of, big. But it is what it is. So, let's see what else. But yeah, the Trump clearly sounded slurry, clearly sounded like he was not ready for any of that. And of course, his people who are diehard MAGA Trump supporters are absolutely going to make excuses for anything he does. But again, that's why we need to fight everybody else and try to get everybody else on board, because we need all hands on deck. including All Hands on Deck, on fighting back against the conservative media, because the conservative media is so strong that we need to overwhelm them. We need to overwhelm them with numbers. We need to overwhelm them with content. We need to basically outproduce them, because if we don't and let the lies go unchecked, more people have an opportunity to believe them, and if they do, we're screwed. And one final thing I guess I would add before the show is before the show's over is simply this: is that we need to crap. Now I completely lost my train of thought. I was trying to load something up onto it. Lost my train of thought. Jax, most starry big in Japan. Yeah, that Musk-Trump interview was an effing disaster. Absolutely. It absolutely was a disaster. 100%. Amen. 100% a disaster. I forgot what I was going to say. God damn it. I hate when that happens. So, anyway. So, I'm going to upload this video now. Sometimes I make the video go live in the morning, but I think it's early enough where I can let the video go live now. I'll produce it real quick, because I already recorded it as a clip, and then I'll upload it. So it's one of the things that you could copy and share, or share on social media, like, comment on, etc. You can always get notifications set up if you do that as well, just to make sure you see every time you get new content. Some new content gets visible early if you're a subscriber, if you're a member, if you're a liberal Danimal here on YouTube as well. But anyway, so I want to thank everybody for watching the show today. Everybody who showed up. Fight the good fight. Stand up against conservatism. I'm hoping at some point soon that I'll have time to be able to make some of the videos, especially the videos that are going to emphasize why Trump's Agenda 47 is just a rebranding of 2020 Project 2025, just so we can again fight the conservatives when they say, "Oh, Trump doesn't support that." Yes, he does, and here's why. Here's an example. Here's an example. Just hit him with rapid fire facts, things that can't be disputed, and then have fun when they decide to, try and pivot on you because they can't answer your question, because that's the other thing that they do. So until next Monday, unless anything big happens, until next Monday, this is Dan Zimmerman with Liberal Dan Radio. Talk from the left. That's right, and that's really loud.